Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we're reviewing Massacre Up North in all its head-banging glory.
Written, directed, and starring Paul Stoichevesk, Massacre Up North is about a kid who gets disfigured in a camping accident and takes it out on the world. The killer, Leslie, had his face disfigured. And so his whole life, he's been, picked on. Some really good burns.
Hey, it's not the man with the iron mask, it's Spider-Man.
And so he just starts killing people with different tools from the hardware store that he's inherited. And he cuts their faces.
It's worth mentioning that this is a shot-on-video or shot-on-shitio movie. This is a very low-budget, micro-budget, no-budget film that Trev and I have watched over and over and over again, and is probably one of the movies that most influenced us to create Bloodbath and Beyond.
There was Star Video, and we used to go there all the time, find B movies, and this was one of them. What did we like about this movie?
I kind of like how garbage it is, to be honest. Like, every character in this is just terrible. They're obviously not actors, and that's why I like it.
You're leaving without me?
Sorry, my Lamborghini only seats two.
This is a it's so bad it's good kind of feel for this film.
If you're a fan of B movies and you sit there and you want to make fun of a movie while you're sitting with your buddies, watch this movie.
Surprisingly enough, even though we just said these people probably aren't actors, there was a lot of nudity in this film that I didn't see coming.
Yeah, there are tons of boobs, tons of different sized boobs. They're all great. Lots of hot chicks, and I like that aspect.
They may have had sex.
There is definitely a questionable shot where people are having sex, and if you look right where the vagina was, I saw a dick coming out of that vagina.
Yeah, you fucking bitch.
I don't know if they're just regular people. Well, Jay might, but I wouldn't just go do some nudity and potentially have sex with someone on film.
I'd do that. I may have done that. Don't look into it!
jplays.com. There's quite a bit of killing in this movie. There's some cool effects. The drilling in the head was kind of cool. The rest, not as strong.
I think the drill is definitely the coolest part. Fans of Driller Killer might dig that, specifically because of the weapon used. But yeah, there's blood that sprays all over the place.
It's a hell of a lot of blood.
I was actually a fan of the night outfit. Because like when I saw it, it just reminded me of like the Black Knight from like Monty Python.
I like Pagluka.
Pagluka.
This is kind of an inside thing that our friend Andy did. Former Bloodbath and Beyond panelist that never showed up for an episode. He used to answer his phone, Pagluka.
Pagluka.
Forgetting about it for the next 10 plus years, it's hilarious to remember that he used to say Pagluka after this guy.
Just a blanket statement. I'm not a fan of any of the characters because they weren't portrayed well. I like that they had those like detective trench coats on, and then the police officers had like go to the store and buy a police officer uniform.
Like blue shirts.
Oh my god. Every time a cop came on screen, you knew damn well this guy's never been an actor, and it's much more evident when they're in like a costume that's a role of authority.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why.
The best is when the damsel in distress walks out. And that cop, just like, the look on his face.
If you asked a kid and he'd be like, all right, draw me a picture of a police officer. This is how the police officers look. It's like, oh, now I need a detective. Then this is how the detectives would look. It's just like, it's so funny how like, it's not imaginative at all. As much as you may hate the movie, you have to just go in saying, it's bad, so I love it.
Yeah.
What didn't we like about this movie?
I hated the editing in this movie because it's just so random. Like, you'll just have like a regular conversation that's shot fairly decently, and then all of a sudden it'll just skip like 5 years, and you won't even know. Like, it's just a straight cut, and that's it. There's no lapse of time, yet there's significant lapses of time. This main guy, Les, he just continues to age throughout the film, and it's kind of strange. And I think a lot of the editing in general is strange. I mean, there will be like full situations going on, and they'll just like cut to a random shot outside for some reason. And then cut back to something cool going on.
Cool.
Right, yeah, cool is a very loose term when we're talking about this movie.
What happened here?
Oh, I know what your wife heard. I was coming home late last night, right, with the van, and I hit a fox with a van, and I guess the fox was screaming.
I also felt this film was way too long. Like, it was much longer than what it needed to be. At the 1 hour mark, we had to pause it for a second, and we saw that there was still another, like, 50 minutes left or whatever, 40, 50 minutes left.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they just left there that didn't need to be there.
It's not a well-written movie. The problem with the story is that they have these detectives trying to figure out who the killer is. And they just keep saying it. It's like, oh, he's using all these tools. Oh, he's cutting all their faces. And then it's just like, this isn't intriguing because we know this guy with the scarred face who inherited a hardware store is the killer.
This place was everything to your father.
You gonna sell it?
No less, I was planning on turning it over to you.
Really?
And the fact that we follow the killer, like, through the murders, like, we've already seen it happen. So there's no mystery to us. So the detectives don't really need to even exist almost.
And the worst part about this is how they find the resolve, how they figure out that Leslie is the killer. It just happens when the detective is reading an article in the paper.
He was burnt in a camping accident. And just a couple of months later, his parents died mysteriously in their bathtub.
Why somebody would start to just throw this into a current newspaper, or why he would be reading a newspaper from 20 plus years ago today doesn't make sense, and it's not explained. It's just one of those things that you need for the plot to go on.
And
well, you don't need. Actually, if it was well written, it wouldn't need that.
Leslie is terrible with his alibis, and the whole situation is just cringeworthy.
Where were you last Thursday evening around 10 p.m.?
Thursday. I was watching sports on TV.
Especially because they're just going on being like, oh, you killed your parents. Oh, you killed the college students. Oh, you killed the people on prom night. Like, they're bringing all this stuff up in his life that they don't need to bring up, and they don't have reason to have this information.
What should have happened was it should have just been brother versus brother. The coroner, who was his brother, would have had more access to that information. It's just like, hey, when you went to university, didn't these people get burned down? Yeah. And then he could have pieced it together, not dipshit and doofus over there.
Yes, they kept bringing the fact that he was a medieval studies graduate. We saw the knight costume right at the beginning. He should have wore that costume in every single kill in this movie, and it would have made more sense. Not just at the very beginning and barely at the very end.
Yes, I completely agree with that.
If I could theorize for a second here. They were trying to make another mystery aspect, right? So they're like, we'll have this guy who's dressed like a knight, and he's killing it. And then you get revealed, hey, didn't you do medieval studies?
What did you study at university?
Medieval studies.
Wait a second, it's the same guy.
Yeah, but instead they just kept saying, you studied medieval studies. And then they didn't even put him in the knight suit. Now, there are rumors that they lost all their footage, and then they had to reshoot a lot of stuff. So I don't know if they had a better movie that they lost, but you figure you would improve it the second go around, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the second go around, you learn from your mistakes. We shot the first 3 episodes of Bloodbath and Beyond 2 times because we lost the first bit and then we had to reshoot it. And I think it was better.
We got better.
It was still shitty.
Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond, where we review things bloody, bathy, and beyondy.
So maybe we are seeing the second version and it's still bad. That does happen. Proof of concept.
It's time for our final thoughts and ratings.
There's not a lot to like about Massacre Up North, but it actually is a fun movie. It's just one of those ones I think you'll get the most enjoyment when you're watching it with friends. This film will make you laugh at moments, and it will make you cringe, and you see blood and boobs, which a lot of people like.
Big fan.
But by no means is this a good movie. I'm just recommending it because I think everyone should at least watch a movie once. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 2 smooth dudes at the club out of 5.
What kind of car do you drive?
Van.
A van.
Just kidding. Lamborghini.
Massacre Up North has like a ton of nostalgia for me, but I kind of put that aside as I revisited this one so I could take it all in again. And it was glorious. Glorious, not so much in a great way, but in kind of a bad, shitty way, which I think a lot of horror fans enjoy anyways. Which is so weird. Like, we kind of like really good movies and we kind of like really bad movies too. And this is one of the really bad movies. It's terrible. It's shot horribly, but there is blood, there is boobs, cliche detectives, and weird-ass cops. So I think you guys would probably enjoy it. So I'm gonna give this 1 metalhead out of 5.
To watch this movie, you have to be in a good mood. You have to be with some buddies. Alcohol, optional, but it helps.
Got it.
Okay? And then when you meet those requirements, then you can watch this movie. Don't watch this movie alone expecting a good movie.
Could you teach me how to use that makeup so I can cover this up?
I really don't have a lot of time.
I'll pay you.
The acting is bad. The story is bad. Everything is bad. So bad, some will say good. But I'm not going to be the guy that you say, Trav said this was a good movie. That's not true. So I'm gonna give this 1 Mario Cop out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below if you've seen the film. I doubt you have. I think that you may not want to buy this movie.